So, I mean, the first indications, and I think it was probably we were tracking the metrics all the way through the alpha and the beta and going on, was basically we noticed that there were two fundamental major learnings from the initial early access launch. The first one was that we were getting a huge drop off on day 3. The day 1 to day 2 retention was fantastic, but then the day 3 retention would collapse. And we'd known at the time that we hadn't launched with progression as a mechanic because we hadn't won the crutch, and it wasn't at that point in our roadmap wasn't what we thought we'd needed. But it became apparent that that might be a very critical factor in what was happening at that point. Because obviously retention is critical to any multiplayer game because it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy before you know what's going on. But if you can somehow retain just enough players that the new players who are coming in don't realize there's a drop-off, then it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy the other way, and you start picking up players, and then it doesn't matter how many players you have a stable population that's fluctuating within sensible parameters. But when we saw that the drop-off on day 2 was so big, it became clear that not having a progression system was an issue for us. That was backed up pretty quickly by a survey that we sent out, because we'd been sending out surveys all the way through our alpha process and our beta process, and even the reviews that we were getting back, the average reviews we were getting, they were all good. It was not the people who were enjoying the game were enjoying the game, but the one part of general overwhelming feedback was, I don't have a reason to keep going. And there's other things I can play that give me a reason to keep going. So that's one of the major areas we've invested in over the last few months, was adding this concept of characters and the character progression, and having an in-depth progression for each of the characters that you can empower over the course of the game. And that I think is going to be very significant in our game.